Why do I have to sign the marriage contract?
It's part of the agreement. You know that.
But it's so final.
Sign the contract or they die.
The contract slides across the black glass table. Her hands don't move. His signature sits at the bottom, already dry. Two security men stand behind her chair like furniture that breathes. Outside the 42nd floor windows, flashing lights strobe across the building's glass. Foreclosure officers in reflective vests, clipboards out, walking toward the hospital annex next door. He doesn't look at them. He looks at her. At midnight, he says, voice flat, the hospital stops life support. She swallows once. That's not your call. It is tonight. She pushes the contract back. If you can do that, you can pay the bill without this. He nods like she confirms a fact he already knows. I can. Then, sign now, he says. They don't. Silence takes the room. Not soft silence, the kind that waits for obedience. She stands. A hand lands on her shoulder, firm, controlled, not violent, just final. Sit, one guard says. She turns her head slowly. Don't touch me. The guard removes his hand like he never cared. He stays behind her anyway. She faces the man again. You're using patience as leverage. He doesn't flinch. I'm using time. She points at the lights outside the window. That's my father's wing. Those officers take the equipment. People die. They take it at midnight. He tops the contract once with one finger. You sign before then, it doesn't happen. Her voice drops. Who are you? He finally blinks, bored. Someone who keeps promises, even ugly ones. She snatches the contract and flips pages fast. Every clause is a lock. No affection obligations, no public contradiction, no independent interviews without approval, a security team assigned to her at all times, a silence clause so wide it can swallow her whole. Violation penalties, financial ruin, legal action, and public disclosure of protected materials. She stops at a line and feels her mouth go dry. No pregnancy rights, she reads aloud. What does that even mean? It means you don't get to weaponize a child, he says. I'm not weaponizing anything. You won't be because you won't have one. She throws the contract down. This isn't marriage, this is ownership. He leans back. Call it whatever keeps you awake. The midnight rule stays. She stares at him, trying to locate the crack. Ego, lust, anger, anything she can push. He gives her nothing. She forces her voice steady. Name. He pauses like it's irrelevant. Adrian Cade. She knows the name. Everyone does. The cold billionaire who buys broken industries and sells them back to governments. The man whose company lawyers rewrite laws before lawmakers finish coffee. She remembers headlines that never finish their stories. A witness who relocates. An executive who resigns and never appears again. A woman once linked to him, caught in one photo, then gone from the internet like she never existed. Her stomach tightens. Why me? He folds his hands. Because you can sign without asking for a love story. I don't love you. I know. Then why? Because the last time I made a mistake, he says, I let emotions touch a legal structure. It became a leak. She hears it, not guilt, not regret, a strategist describing a failed design. She leans forward. So this is about a scandal? He corrects. It's about a clause. She laughs once, sharp. A clause that requires a wife? A clause that requires a spouse, he says. A legal safeguard, a barrier. A barrier against what? He points at the pages. Keep reading, the answer isn't there. Her eyes scan again. She finds it near the end, a provision tied to corporate governance, a morality and marital status trigger. If Adrian remains unmarried past a certain date, ownership shifts and an independent audit opens sealed records. Sealed records, buried history. She looks up. You're marrying me to avoid an audit. He nods once. An audit that exposes what? His gaze stays still. Everything that ends me. The words hit like a door locking. She tries to push back anyway. So you trap me to protect yourself. Yes. And if I refuse? He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten. He just says the next fact like he reads weather. Your father's wing closes at midnight. The foreclosure officers take the equipment. Your mother's insurance lapses at 12:07 a.m. Your brother's bail review fails at 8 a.m. tomorrow because your lawyer can't file without payment. Your niece's school expels her next week because fees are overdue and the charity fund rejects late documents. Her throat tightens. You don't know my life. He slides a folder toward her. Time-stamped documents, hospital letters, court notices, banking alerts, everything in ink and dates. Her hands shake once. She hates that it happens. She flips through the folder and hates that every page is real. She sits back down because standing is useless in a room built for control. You monitored me, she says. I verified you, he replies. That's the same thing. It isn't. Monitoring is after you sign. Her jaw clenches. You planned this. He tilts his head a fraction. You think you're the first person to call it cruel? She doesn't answer. He leans forward, voice calm. You are capable. That's why you're here. You don't collapse. You don't beg. You don't make scenes. You carry weight without asking people to feel sorry for you. Her eyes narrow. So you picked me because I won't scream. You picked me because you'll survive being hated for a decision you didn't want. The words cut deeper than the threat, because he's right. People already judge her for things she didn't choose. She grips the pen, then stops. If I sign, my family lives. If I don't, they lose everything. He nods. That is the equation. What do I get? He answers without delay. Time, money, protection. Protection from you? He holds her gaze. Protection because of me. She reads the penalties again. If I speak, you ruin me. If you break the contract, yes. And if you hurt me? He looks almost amused, but it doesn't reach his face. Define hurt. She hates that she has to be specific. If you force me, if you isolate me, if you erase me like the last woman. The room shifts, not with emotion, with calculation. You don't know what happened to her, he says. She vanished. She exited, he replies, crisply. People don't exit the internet. They do, Andrian says, when the internet belongs to the wrong people. Her skin goes cold. So you can erase me. He doesn't deny it. I can. And you think I'll sign? He nods toward the window. The foreclosure officers reach the annex doors. One raises a clipboard, another unlocks a chain. He checks his watch. 11:37. Her breath turns thin. She wants to call someone, anyone, but she knows he's already thought of that. Her phone sits on the table in front of her like bait. She reaches for it anyway. A guard steps closer, not touching, just reminding her. Adrian speaks again. Your father's ventilator doesn't run on courage. She looks at him, rage pressing behind her eyes. You're not even sorry. I don't buy outcomes with apologies. I buy them with compliance. She grips the pen so hard it hurts. What happens after I sign? He slides another page forward. We file the marriage license today. Tonight you move into my residence. Tomorrow morning we appear in public. You didn't even ask if I agree. You're holding a pen, he says. That's the only agreement I require. She leans in, voice low. If I sign, I will not be quiet forever. His eyes don't move. You don't have forever. She looks at the folder again. Her father's name on hospital paperwork. Her mother's insurance number. Her brother's case file. People who trust her. People who will pay for her pride. She presses the pen to paper. Her signature scratches across the line like a wound being sealed. The guards step back instantly, as if the room's air changes the moment she complies. Adrian doesn't smile. He doesn't thank her. He doesn't soften. He reaches out, takes the contract, flips to the last page, and checks her signature like he checks a lock after turning the key. He stands. Good, he says. He walks toward the door, already finished with this part of her life. At the threshold, he stops, turns his head slightly, and drops the next fact like a verdict. We begin tonight. Her phone vibrates before she reaches the elevator. A hospital administrator's name flashes. She answers fast. Tell me it stopped. It stopped, the woman says, voice strained. Foreclosure officers turned away. Someone paid the lien. We're funded through the quarter. Her knees almost buckle. She catches herself on the wall. My father? Stable, still critical, but stable. She closes her eyes once. Relief lands, heavy and humiliating because it comes from Adrian. When she opens them, the two security men are already there, flanking her like she never left the room. One gestures. This way, ma'am. Don't call me that, she says. He doesn't react. Vehicle is waiting. She steps forward. I'm going home first. No, the other guard says. She keeps walking anyway. A hand appears in front of her. Not touching, just blocking. Instructions are clear. She stays at him. Move. He doesn't. Her heartbeat spikes, anger sharp. You're not police. He finally speaks like he's reciting policy. You are now protected property of Cade Holdings. Please cooperate. The words hit harder than a slap. Protected property. She turns on her heel and walks back toward the private elevator because fighting in a lobby is exactly what Adrian expects her to do. Inside the elevator, mirrored walls throw her face back at her. She looks like someone who just signed a confession. The doors open straight into a black car bay. The car is already idling. Windows dark. Driver silent. She slides in. The door locks with a soft click that sounds like a decision being made for her. The driver speaks without turning. Cade residence. She leans forward. Stop at my mother's house. The driver doesn't answer. She tries the handle. Locked. She sits back, breath controlled. So this is how it starts. The car moves. Her phone vibrates again. A text this time. Unknown number. Your family is safe because you signed. Don't test the price of reversing that. She types fast. I want boundaries. The reply comes immediately. You agreed to terms. Boundaries are for people with leverage. She deletes her next message before sending it. The city slides past the tinted glass. She can't see faces. She can't see exits. She can only feel motion. 30 minutes later, the car rolls into an underground garage, so clean it looks unused. A private elevator waits. The guards escort her in. She steps out into a penthouse that feels like a showroom with air. A woman in a black suit approaches, tablet in hand. Miss Hale, I'm Marin, house manager. Where is Adrian? She asks. Marin doesn't blink. Mr. Cade is in a meeting. It's night. Mr. Cade has meetings at night. A second woman appears with a garment bag and a clipboard. A third with a phone and ring light. Marin speaks as if she's assigning furniture. You'll shower, you'll dress, you'll rehearse. Mr. Cade expects you downstairs in 30 minutes. She stares. Rehearse what? Marin taps the tablet. A script appears on the screen. Questions, answers, smiles, angles. Public perfection mandatory. I'm not doing this, she says. Marin's tone stays calm. You are. She steps around Marin toward the door. I'm leaving. A guard shifts into view at the entrance, already positioned. Marin doesn't raise her voice. Miss Hale, the contract includes safety protocols. Leaving without clearance triggers a response. What response? Marin holds her gaze. I don't recommend learning by experience. Her hands curl into fists. Where's the contract? I want a copy. Marin gestures to a locked cabinet. Digital copy is on your phone. Hard copy is secured. So I can't even hold my own cage. Marin's eyes flick once, almost pity, then gone. Shower. One of the assistants steps forward with a dress. Ivory, expensive, too perfect. "She's not a doll," she says. Marin answers flat. "Tonight, she is." The assistant tries to guide her toward a corridor. She jerks away. "Don't touch me." The assistant freezes. Marin nods once to the guards, and the guards don't move because they don't have to. The pressure is already everywhere. She walks to the bathroom because refusing doesn't unlock doors. She stands under the shower and lets water run over her face like it can rinse the contract off her skin. When she steps out, the dress is laid out like a command. She dresses. Marin leads her to a sitting room with a camera set up and a woman holding cue cards. "Smile," she says. She stares. "No." Marin leans in slightly. "Your father's wing stays funded because the Cade Foundation Board signs off quarterly. Mr. Cade's image stays clean because you stay clean." She snaps. "My father isn't a billboard." Marin replies, "Your father is a liability you love. That's why he's useful." Her breath stops for half a second. The cue card woman begins. "Question 1. How did you meet Mr. Cade?" She says nothing. Marin nods to the tablet. The screen changes. A live CCTV feed. Her mother's porch. Her mother opens the door to collect a package. A man in a suit stands nearby, watching the street like he owns it. Her throat goes tight. "Is that—" Marin's voice stays smooth. "Security presence for your family, activated by compliance." She looks at the feed and feels rage climb into her teeth. "You put men at my mother's house?" "To protect her." "From who?" Marin doesn't answer. That silence is an answer. The cue card woman tries again, firmer. "How did you meet Mr. Cade?" She swallows down panic and forces her mouth to work. "At a charity event." "Good," the woman says. "And what did you think when you saw him?" She hears herself say it, dead. "I thought he was disciplined." Marin watches her like a handler watching an animal stop fighting. Next, the cue card woman says, "Why marry now?" "Because we value privacy." A door opens behind them. Adrian walks in like he never left. No greeting, no warmth, just presence. He stops a few steps away, eyes scanning her like he's checking whether the costume fits. "Turn," he says. She doesn't move. He repeats softer, more dangerous. "Turn." She holds his gaze. "No." The room goes still. Marin's face stays blank, but the assistants freeze like they're trained to. Adrian steps closer. "You think refusing is resistance." "It is," she says. He tilts his head. "It's inconsistency, and inconsistency makes people curious." She doesn't blink. "Let them be curious." He gestures once. The cue card woman lowers the cards and steps back. Adrian's voice drops, calm. "At 8 a.m. tomorrow, you sit beside me while the board votes to keep the foundation funding your father's wing." She stiffens. "That's blackmail." "That's governance. You want leverage, don't embarrass me tonight." He reaches into his jacket and tosses a thin folder onto the table. It slides to her. She opens it. A printed photo, her brother, handcuffed, a timestamp from this morning, a note. "Bail review rescheduled, judge changed." Her chest tightens. "What did you do?" Adrian doesn't answer that question. He offers a different fact. "Your brother's case is fragile. Public sympathy helps. Public scandal kills." She looks up, eyes burning. "You're holding him too." Adrian's eyes remain ice. "I'm holding everything you love because you signed a paper that says I can." She stands, shaking now, control slipping. "Then why pretend this is marriage?" Adrian steps closer until the air between them feels owned. "Because marriage," he says, "is a socially acceptable cage." He reaches out and adjusts the neckline of her dress with 2 fingers. Careful, clinical. She flinches. His hand pauses. For the first time, his jaw tightens, not with tenderness, but irritation. "Don't do that," he says. "Don't do what?" she snaps. "Look afraid," he replies, eyes hard. "It makes me look sloppy." Her laugh is sharp, broken. "So you care about that?" He leans in, voice low enough that only she hears. "You will smile in 30 minutes. You will take my hand when the cameras ask. You will not improvise." She stares at him. "And if I do?" He smiles slightly, finally. Not kind. "Then I remind you," he whispers, "how fast a life support machine goes quiet." He straightens, steps back, and addresses the room like she's already tamed. "Finish her," he says. He turns to leave. She speaks before fear can stop her. "What happened to the last woman?" His steps stop. The room stops breathing. He turns his head slowly. His voice is calm, but the air turns colder. "Never say that again." She holds his gaze anyway. "Did you erase her?" He walks back toward her, measured. Marin's eyes flick to the guards. Adrian stops close enough that she can't pretend she has space. He doesn't raise his voice. He says, "You're asking questions that cost people their names." She answers, "I want mine." He looks at her for a long second, then leans in. His whisper is a blade. "Then stop trying to earn her fate." He steps away again, and the guards don't move because they don't need to. He heads toward the door. She calls after him, voice steady now, forced. "I'll smile, but I won't disappear." He pauses at the doorway, back still turned. "Good," he says, "because if you disappear, I lose control." He exits. The door shuts. Marin exhales like it's a signal. Positions. We're live in 20. She stands in the middle of the room in a dress she didn't choose, surrounded by people rehearsing her life. Her phone vibrates again. A new message. "Tonight isn't for love. It's for proof. Fail me, and someone you love pays." She stares at the screen as the assistants circle her. Then, on the tablet, the CCTV feed changes. Her mother's porch camera glitches. A shadow moves at the edge of the frame. A hand reaches toward the doorbell, and the feed cuts to black. The feed doesn't come back. She grabs the tablet from Marin's hands. "Fix it." Marin keeps her voice even. "Nothing changed." "That's my mother's house." "Yes." She turns toward the door. "I'm going there." Two guards shift in sync. Not blocking yet. Warning. Adrian's voice cuts in from behind her. "You're not." He's back. Jacket off now, sleeves rolled with intention, not comfort. She faces him. The camera went dark. Temporary outage. You don't lose eyes on assets, you cut them. His gaze hardens. Careful. She steps closer. "You said you protect. Is this how you protect?" He looks at Marin. "Restore the feed." Marin hesitates half a beat. That half beat answers everything. Adrian's jaw tightens. Now. The feed returns. Her mother's porch again. Empty. Door closed. Lights on. Relief hits her knees, and she hates that it does. Adrian watches her reaction like data. "Your family is untouched." "It's not safe," she says. "It is in my world." She throws the tablet onto the table. "Your world is sick." He doesn't argue. "My world is effective." A voice from the doorway interrupts. "Mr. Cade, press is staging." Adrian nods. 5 minutes. He turns to her. "This is where you become real." She laughs without humor. "I already am." "Not to them," he says. "To them, you're a function." She straightens. "Then watch me break your function." He steps in close again, voice low that only she hears. "You try to embarrass me tonight, and tomorrow your brother stands in front of a judge who already hates him." Her hands curl. "You're escalating." "Yes, because you are." They hold eye contact until the silence turns sharp. He steps back first. Smile. They walk into the press room side by side. Cameras ignite. Questions fly. "Mr. Cade, why of a sudden marriage?" He answers smoothly. "Timing." "And you, Miss Hale?" She feels the script in her head like a chokehold. She looks at the cameras, then at him. She smiles, because some things shouldn't be delayed. A ripple runs through the room. Not wrong, not expected. Adrian's fingers tighten around hers for a split second, a warning disguised as affection. They finish the appearance. Applause, flashes, approval. Back in the elevator, the doors close. His grip doesn't loosen. That sentence, he says calmly, wasn't approved. She meets his eyes. It wasn't disobedient. It was unscripted. Yes. The elevator hums. You want to test boundaries. Fine. I'll show you where they end. The doors open to the penthouse again. He releases her hand and walks past. Come, he says. She follows because refusing only delays consequences. He leads her to a private office she hasn't seen yet. No windows, no art, just steel shelves and locked drawers. He opens a cabinet with a code. Read, he says, tossing a file onto the desk. She flips it open. A contract. Not hers. Dated 3 years earlier. Same clauses, same language, same cage. A different name. Her stomach drops. This is the previous wife, Adrian says. She wasn't public. She was temporary. She refused a clause, she says, reading fast. The silence addendum. Yes. Her voice tightens. What happened to her? He doesn't answer. She looks up. You erased her. He corrects her. She breached. And punishment was disappearance? Punishment, he says evenly, was consequence. Her chest feels hollow. You did this before? And learned. That version had weaknesses. You mean feelings? I mean inefficiency. She closes the file slowly. So if I refuse, you won't, he says. She steps back. You said marriage was a barrier. This is a grave. He moves closer. You're alive because you cooperate. For now. He stops an arm's length away. You think I won't do it again. I think you're capable. Good. Fear is accurate. Something shifts in her then. Not panic, not rage. Clarity. She sets the file down gently. Then I won't scream. He watches, curious. I won't beg loudly, she continues. I won't fight loudly. That's wise, he says. She meets his eyes. I'll comply publicly. And privately? She steps closer. Privately, I'll make you choose. His lips press thin. Choose what? Control, she says, and exposure. He studies her like a puzzle that shouldn't exist. You don't have leverage, he says. She taps the file. You reused a contract tied to a legal structure. That means the clause still exists. His eyes sharpen. She continues calmly, which means if anything happens to me, the audit triggers automatically. Silence stretches. He finally speaks. You read fast. I learn faster. You think you're protected, he says. I think you're trapped with me now. His smile returns, colder. Then let me correct something. He reaches past her and presses a button. A screen lights up on the wall. Live feed. A hospital room. Her father. A doctor adjusts equipment. A nurse checks vitals. Adrian's voice stays level. Life support is still discretionary. Her breath catches. You said... I said tonight was handled, he cuts in. Tomorrow is negotiable. She turns on him. You're becoming worse. Yes, because you forgot who controls time. She feels it then. The midpoint truth. This isn't a marriage trap. It's an erasure system, and she's standing inside it. Adrian steps back. Go to bed. Tomorrow you sit beside me at the board meeting. She doesn't move. He pauses at the door. One more thing. She looks up. If you try to save anyone without permission, he says, I'll let you watch them disappear. The door closes. She stands alone with the screen still showing her father breathing. Her phone vibrates. A message from an unknown internal number. Clause 9B still active. Ask me how I know. Her pulse spikes. Another message follows. I didn't leave. I survived. She deletes the messages without replying. Then she screenshots them. She turns off the phone and sits on the edge of the bed fully dressed, eyes on the wall until morning light bleeds through the glass. At 7, Marin enters without knocking. Board meeting in 40 minutes. She stands. I want a doctor present. For you? For my father. Marin hesitates. I'll ask. That wasn't a request. Marin studies her, then nods once. Noted. Downstairs, the house hums with quiet efficiency. No warmth, no chaos, just people moving like outcomes are pre-approved. Adrian appears already dressed, composed, unreadable. He doesn't look at her. Car. They sit side by side in the back seat. Silence tightens the space. She breaks it. If I die, the audit triggers. He glances at her. You won't die. You said the last woman breached. She tried to disappear, he replies. You're trying to destabilize. She watches the city slide by. You built a system where love is a liability. I built a system where emotion doesn't destroy value. And people, she asks? They adapt, he says. They arrive at the tower. The boardroom doors stand open, 12 seats, 12 faces that have never lost. She takes her seat beside Adrian. The chair is slightly elevated, intentional. The meeting starts without ceremony. Marriage confirmed, a board member says, clause suspended. Another adds, audit delayed. A third leans forward. Now end it. She turns sharply. End what? The man doesn't look at her. The marriage, it served its purpose. Adrian stays still. The man continues. Divorce quietly, preserve the structure. She feels the weight hit her chest. You said this protects him. It did, the woman at the far end says. Now you're a variable. Adrian finally speaks. She stays. A pause, not agreement, surprise. Public sentiment is unstable, another says. Her presence invites scrutiny. Adrian's voice stays level. So does a sudden divorce. The first man smiles thinly. Then choose. Silence swells. She leans forward before Adrian can answer. I'm not your problem. 12 heads turn. She keeps her voice steady. I'm your proof. Adrian's jaw tightens. Sit back. She doesn't. You're all afraid of exposure because this company survives on silence. One man laughs once. Who are you? She meets his eyes. Someone who didn't disappear. Adrian turns toward her slowly. Stop. She looks at him. I won't. She stands. Security shifts. Adrian raises a hand. They freeze. She faces the room. There was another woman, same contract, same clauses. Murmurs ripple. Adrian's voice drops dangerously. You're breaching. She keeps going. She didn't leave. She survived. The woman at the far end stiffens. That's impossible. A screen lights up. Not from Adrian, from the boardroom system. A file opens. A face appears. Older, scarred, alive. I'm here, she says, and so is the clause. The room erupts. Adrian stands in one smooth motion. Shut it down. No one moves. The woman on the screen continues. If anything happens to her, she says, eyes locked on Adrian, the audit opens. All of it. Adrian turns to her, his wife. This time, there's no calculation left to hide behind, only a choice. Control or destruction. Security waits. The board waits. The empire waits. And she waits for him to decide which part of himself he's willing to burn. Adrian doesn't look at the screen again. He looks at her. The room waits for him to erase her. He doesn't. End the session, he says. A board member snaps. You don't have... I do, Adrian cuts in, for the next 6 minutes. Another voice rises. You're destabilizing. I'm clarifying, Adrian says. This marriage didn't protect the company. It exposed it. She watches him carefully. This isn't softness. This is collision. The woman on the screen speaks again. Adrian, don't do this for me. I'm not, he says. His eyes don't leave his wife. You said you'd rather lose everything than disappear. She meets his gaze. Yes. Then don't disappear, he says. Stay standing. He presses a button on the table. The boardroom doors unlock. Media noise floods in from the hall. Shouting, cameras, chaos. The first reporter bursts through. Mr. Cade, what's happening? Adrian steps forward into the light. This company, he says, is under internal review effective immediately. Gasps, shouts. A board member lunges for the flash drive. Adrian's hand slams down first. You touch it and it auto-uploads. The man freezes. Adrian turns back to the cameras. My marriage was built on control. That ends today. She feels the weight of the moment crash into her chest. This is it. No quiet exit, no reversal. He looks at her again, softer but still dangerous. You're free to walk. She doesn't move. The woman on the screen smiles faintly. Welcome to the part where it hurts. Security radios crackle. Sirens rise outside. Adrian takes his wife's hand, not possessive, not rehearsed, a question. She tightens her fingers around his, and the screen behind them switches to upload in progress, 62%. Alarms echo throughout the tower. Not fire, not evacuation, legal containment. Security doesn't rush them. They hesitate. Orders conflict. Loyalty fractures. Stop the upload, a board member shouts. No one moves. The percentage climbs, 71%. Adrian releases her hand and steps fully in front of the cameras. Everything you're about to see, he says, was protected by contracts designed to erase people. Reporters shout questions over each other. Are you admitting criminal liability? Yes. Is this retaliation? No. Why now? Adrian answers without pause, because control started costing lives. She feels eyes swing to her. She doesn't step back. A legal officer pushes forward. Adrian, this triggers immediate arrest.
He nods. I know. She turns to him. You didn't tell me that part. He looks at her. You would have tried to stop me. She exhales. I still might. A guard leans in. Sir, prosecutors are on site. Adrian checks the screen. 83%. The woman on the video feed speaks again. If they detain him before completion, they won't, Adrian says. This room is live streamed. The realization ripples. Phones lift, screens glow, millions watch in real time. A reporter shouts, Miss Hale, did you know? She steps forward before Adrian can intercept. Yes, she says. I knew he built a system that rewarded silence. I didn't know how many people paid for it. And you stayed? I stayed, she replies, steady, to make sure it ended. The legal officer snaps. You're implicating yourself. She looks at him. Good. Adrian turns sharply. No. She faces him. You don't get to protect me with silence anymore. Their eyes lock. Not a power struggle, a reckoning. 91%. Sirens grow louder. Elevators ding. Footsteps pound closer. A board member whispers, almost pleading. You can still cut the feed. Adrian shakes his head. Too late. He looks at her. When this finishes, you walk out that door alone. You don't wait, you don't speak, you don't look back. She stiffens. I'm not leaving you. He answers quietly. That's not love, that's guilt. 96%. The doors slam open. Federal agents flood the room. Adrian Cade, a voice commands, you are to step away from the table. He doesn't resist. He lifts his hand slowly. She reaches for him. He stops her with a look. Stay standing, he says. That was the deal. The lead agent glances at the screen. 99%. An agent reaches for the power switch. The woman on the screen shouts, Don't! The lights flicker. The room holds its breath. And the upload freezes at 99%. No one moves. Not the agents, not the board, not the cameras. The frozen 99% hangs like a held breath. Adrian's eyes don't leave the screen. She steps forward. Finish it. The lead agent snaps, Ma'am, step back. She doesn't. If it doesn't finish, this all meant nothing. Adrian turns his head slightly. I told you to leave. She shakes her head once. You don't get to decide that anymore. The woman on the screen speaks, voice tight but steady. There's a manual trigger. Everyone turns to the screen. A physical key, she continues. In the desk, lower drawer, left. A board member lunges. An agent stops him. Adrian looks at the desk, then at her. If you do this, he says quietly, there's no version of me left to protect you. She answers without hesitation. Then be a man who doesn't need to. She moves first. An agent grabs her arm. Adrian's voice cuts through the room. Let her go. The agent hesitates. Adrian adds colder. This room is still live. The grip loosens. She opens the drawer, finds the key, holds it for half a second, long enough to understand the weight. Then she turns it. The screen jumps. Upload complete. 100%. Sound erupts, shouting, phones buzzing, notifications exploding. The woman on the screen closes her eyes.
It's done, she says. Adrian exhales. Not relief, release. Agents move in immediately. Hands on him, cuffs clicking. Adrian Cade, you are under arrest. He doesn't resist. As they pull him away, he looks at her one last time. Not command, not ownership. A question. She answers it by staying where she is. He nods once. That's all. They take him out through the same doors he once controlled. The board members scatter. Reporters swarm. Someone shoves a microphone toward her. Miss Hale, what happens now? She looks straight ahead. I keep my name, she says. She walks out alone. Days later, the city hums louder than before. Headlines burn. Empires fall. Trials begin. She visits the hospital. Her father breathes on his own. She sits beside the bed, silent, present. No guards, no scripts. Weeks pass. A letter arrives. No logo, no legal language. Just 4 words in his handwriting. You chose correctly. She folds it once, doesn't frame it, doesn't burn it. She steps outside into the noise of a world that finally can't erase her. And for the first time, the future isn't controlled, it's chosen.